Vishal, how are you? कैसे हो आप?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So let's start. We have changed our planning little bit based on the conversation. So I have just revised the schedule little bit. So we will continue based on the backer material now. So let me share my screen and let's get underway. Before that, आपको कोई question, query, whatever we done in our basics?
Uh, I yes. Uh,
आप एक बार शेयर कीजिए स्क्रीन, पहले आपकी क्वेश्चंस को देख लेते हैं एंड देन
yeah.
वी मूव टू द न्यू टॉपिक्स। ओके, तो क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है? P company had a following borrowings on its books at the end of the current year. $100,000 12% interest rate borrowed 5 years ago on 30th September. Interest is payable on March 31st and September 30th. Second, $75,000 10% interest rate borrowed 2 years ago on July 1st. Interests are paid on April, July, October, and January. And the third one, $200,000 non-interest bearing note borrowed on July 1 current year, due next year. Proceeds you have received 178K. It means that is indirectly you have paid an interest. So you got a zero discount note, but you are paying a higher
Yeah,
repayments.
my main problem is here that I don't understand how to calculate interest and how is the percentage applied and how to then manage the accruals and the payables.
चलिए काम कीजिए, क्वेश्चन को अभी होल्ड कीजिए। व्हेन विल गो टू
Okay.
फार 3 विल अंडरस्टैंड लायबिलिटीज, बॉन्ड्स, इफेक्टिव इंटरेस्ट मेथड. I think then you will get to know. So some concepts are required to be understood before you calculate the interest here.
Okay.
सेकंड देखते हैं एक बार। So K Corporation has a $95,000 US GAAP net income for a quarter ending, and following are the items. 60K का गेन है, 16K का cumulative effect on the inventory valuation, 48,000 you have paid for the calendar year property taxes, 12,000 is allocated. चलिए इसको भी आप होल्ड कीजिए, मे बी फॉर 2-3 days वी हैव इंटरिम फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग टॉपिक, उसके बाद आपको ये समझ में आएगा।
ये भी वही परसेंटेज वाला है।
यस,
Uh,
सो वी नीड टू
ये भी
अंडरस्टैंड।
इंटरेस्ट है।
ठीक है, सो आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द टॉपिक्स आर पेंडिंग, सो नो वरीज।
Yeah, this were the MCQs of M3.
यस, एक ही मिनट देना भाई मेरे को, एक ही मिनट देना साथ भाई, एक मेरे को फोन आ रहा है, आई बी जस्ट बैक
जी,
इन।
कोई मसला नहीं।
Sorry, let's start with the new topic. Let's start with the FAR 1, and we will be covering your first topic as per your backer material. So we are going to start with first one, balance sheet, income statement, and comprehensive income. And then following sessions, we will cover EPS and stockholder equities. We'll capture the module one over the next 2 or 3 sessions, and then you will have a one exam for them. So let's understand what is covered under the income statement, balance sheet, and OCI format. A little bit of concepts are covered for discontinued operation and foreign currency transactions. So we will also touch based upon those aspects. So सबसे पहले हम लोग क्या क्या देखने वाले हैं बैलेंस शीट. We will understand what are the key components of the balance sheet. Income statement, there are multiple formats which are available. A single step, multi-step, single statement, multi-statement. We will understand all those things, and we will understand discontinued operations जिसको बोलते हैं, how a presentation and disclosures are required for them. We have a couple of very small example for foreign currency transactions, so we will touch base them. Then we have a OCI. So how OCI is created, there is a one great formula to remember OCI. Plus you can club OCI with income statement, or you can present OCI separately as well. We will see couple of questions from MCQ and maybe a one simulation, and then uh, by today end of the day you can cover everything in your backer material. So शुरू करते हैं सबसे पहले बैलेंस शीट में. So this is a typical format of the balance sheet under US GAAP. You start left hand side at the top with assets. Right hand side is generally is your liabilities, followed by your stockholders equity. Assets mein again you start first of all everything by current assets. Current assets mein, this is the typical format which you follow. Number one, it comes cash and cash equivalent. So anything which is very liquid, cash on hand, balance in bank, or cash equivalent. So anything which is liquidated within a 90 days of time and a change in the value is not expected, those are covered under the cash equivalents. So suppose let's say you have invested in a one particular company's stock, and the maturity term is only 90 days, and you don't expect the price to go significantly up or significantly down. So that investment will be classified as a cash equivalent. But now let's say you invest into some company.
Uh,
हाँ जी बोलिए.
Liquidated for 90 days is only for cash equivalent.
कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स ओनली, यस. अगर आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो where the term is let's say 160 days, 180 days, then it will fall under your investment categories. So cash and cash equivalent, everything which is liquid up to 90 days of maturity and value change is not significantly expected. The second item which is under your current asset is your accounts receivable. This is generally presented net of any allowances. So whatever sales you have done, you are going to create accounts receivable. Whatever amount you expect not to collect, you will subtract as an allowance for doubtful debt, and the net accounts receivable will be presented into your balance sheet. We have a full chapter maybe following when we go to asset classifications, that what are the different type of accounts receivable, what you do when you are pledging your accounts receivable, how to calculate bad debt provisions under your CCL method under US GAAP. So a lot of a full chapter is there when we go to a FAR 3 asset side accounts receivable. So we will understand a lot more in detail there. The third one is inventory. Again, we have a full-fledged chapter coming when we go to FAR 3. So basically, a general rule says कि inventory you record cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Now, inventory, you can have a FIFO method, you can have a LIFO method, you can have a weighted average method, you can have a specific identification method. If you are using a LIFO method, you need to create a certain allowances, a statutory allowances. So all those things again we will touch base when we go FAR 3 inventory as a specific chapter. The few more items under your current asset, it could be a prepaid expenses. For example, let's say you pay insurance for 12 months in advance today. So that insurance will get amortized over the 12 months of period. So when a period is not expired, it is shown as a prepaid expenses under your current assets. Anything else you have in your business as a current asset, you can still show. This is not a mandatory list. This is just an example list. So anything else you have in the current asset, you can show them as a current asset. The next section, next header comes under asset is a long-term assets. You start with PP&D, which is a property, plant and equipment, net of the depreciation and impairment loss. We have a full chapter again. We will understand what is fixed assets, how they are initially recognized, what cost can be capitalized, what cannot be capitalized. If you have a future year expenses, how present value comes into a picture, what are the methods of depreciation, how impairment is calculated, what happens if there is a reversal of impairment. All those topics are covered when we go to a PP&D accounting standard. Intangible assets, again you have a very full chapter available. So which expenses first of all qualify for the intangible assets, up to what level those expenses can be capitalized as intangible assets, over which term they needs to be amortized, any impairment is there, how you recognize it. Goodwill specifically can be created only and only if it is through an acquisition. You cannot self generate the goodwill in your balance sheet, but there is an impairment review required for goodwill at each balance sheet date. So how you impair the goodwill, again we will see when we go towards the intangible accounting standards. The third one, deferred tax assets. Again, we have a full-fledged chapter in FAR 6 available. We will understand what are the temporary timing differences and how deferred tax assets or a deferred tax liability can be created. If you see on the right hand side, there is a deferred tax liability also given. So either you have a deferred tax asset or you have a deferred tax liability. You cannot have both in your balance sheet. You have to net it off. But both are your long-term classification. So how calculations happen, what are the methodologies, we'll go to a FAR 6 and we will understand it. Any other long-term assets, any other investments you can show still under your asset side. And going towards the liability, again, you start first of all with your current liabilities and followed by the long-term liabilities. So current liabilities, few common examples are your trade payables, where you have incurred the expenses you have not paid out. Current portion of long-term debt. This is really interesting. So suppose you have taken a bank loan for 5 years of period. So you don't show entire 5 years of loan as a long-term liability. What you will do, anything which is payable within next 12 months, you will show it as a current portion of debt, and remaining liability you will show as a long-term liability. On revenue, this is nothing but a deferred revenue, which we saw in our first session. You receive the cash in advance, you are yet to deliver the services to the customer, so it is called deferred revenue or on revenue. It is shown as a current liabilities. Then you have a section called long-term liabilities. So generally it includes your debt payable, bonds payable, which are over a 12 months of period. We have a full chapter for bonds payable. We will understand what are the effective interest method. The example you showed 10 minutes back, we need to understand what is the effective interest rate, how the debt liabilities are getting calculated. You can have a lease liability also here, which is a long-term in nature. We have a full chapter available for lease accounting as well. So that's where we will understand how a lessor and lessee accounts for their portion into their respective balance sheet. And then again, you have a deferred tax liability similar to deferred tax asset. In a FAR 6, we will see in detail. And the last section you have is a stockholders equity. We have a chapter to follow maybe in next couple of days. You always start with the preferred stock first, followed by the common stock. So preferred stock can have a cumulative preferred stock or a non-cumulative preferred stock. So what is the meaning of cumulative preferred stock? It means whether you declare the dividend or you don't declare the dividend, you have to pay the dividend for all the years. It is called a cumulative preference stock. नॉन क्यूमुलेटिव प्रेफरेंस स्टॉक क्या होता है कि यू हैव टू पे द डिविडेंड ओनली एंड ओनली इफ यू डिक्लेयर. अगर कोई साल में आपने डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर नहीं किया, then preference stocks will not get dividend for that particular year. So when we go to a chapter number 3, stockholders equity and EPS calculation, we will see how a different type of preference stocks have an impact on the EPS calculations. And you have a retained earnings. This is nothing but your reserves and surplus. You have a opening retained earnings, plus you have a adjustment to the opening retained earnings. You get a net opening retained earnings, plus profit for the period minus any dividends or a distribution, you get a closing retained earnings. Then you have an OCI, that is accumulated OCI. We will see in a moment. A PACE is covered under the OCI. So there are four components, PACE. Those four components only goes towards the OCI. We will understand the concept that why it is going into the OCI directly. And the last one, which is a treasury stock, a negative stock. This is nothing but a stock which is repurchased or cancelled by the entity and taken back from the subscriber. So ultimately, your asset has to match with your liability plus equity, which was the formula we saw in the last session, that A is equal to C plus L. Now, under a US GAAP, a full set of financial statements are of five items. Number one, it has to include the balance sheet. Number two, it has to include an income statement. Number three, an OCI statement. Number four, a statement of stockholders' equity. And number five, a cash flow statement. So whenever in the exam they ask you what are the full set of financial statements, they are the five items: balance sheet, P&L, OCI, stockholders' equity, and cash flow statement. So now before we go to the next slide, let's quickly check the backer material, what you have given in the balance sheet, and then if you have any question, हम लोग उसको quickly go through कर लेते हैं. So let's quickly go what they have given. So first paragraph, it says that under a US GAAP, you have a full set of financial statement. It is considered of five items. You have a balance sheet, which is statement of financial position. Then you have a statement of earnings. This is the income statement. Then you have a statement of comprehensive income. This is OCI. Then you have a statement of cash flow and statement of owner's equity. Now, further, you classify your balance sheet into a current and non-current liabilities. यहाँ पर एक very very important catch we saw in the first session. Current means 12 months or operating cycle, whichever is more. So it's not always 12 months. It depends on the company's operating cycle. And following the particular format which we just saw, asset, you have a current asset, you can have a multiple items there, you can have a investments, you can have a current liabilities, you have a long-term liabilities, and you have a fixed assets, you have an intangible asset, you have a other assets. So all these are non-current assets. On the right hand side, you have a stockholders equity. You start always with a preferred stock, then you come with a common stock, then you have a APIC. So if you issue the stock at a premium, you create the APIC. We will see in the chapter following this one how to account for the stockholders equity. Then you have a retained earnings, and then you have an OCI, and ultimately your asset has to match with your liability plus capital. कोई भी क्वेश्चन बैलेंस शीट के फॉर्मेट में, lot of things internally we have a separate chapters, but format point of view, any questions?
Nang, just one question since I have attempted the questions before for this.
Hmm.
Are there any contra assets I should know? Because they expect you to know contra assets.
So contra asset, सबसे पहले what is the meaning of contra?
Opposite?
Opposite, exactly. So when let's say you have an accounts receivable, you reduce a provision for bad debt. So provision for bad debt is called a contra asset. Asset is a positive number. Provision for doubtful debt is a negative number. So you call a contra asset. Or let's say depreciation. Your PP&D is a positive number as a fixed asset. You reduce the depreciation as a contra asset. So any contra means negative or opposite. So anything which is in opposite sign, it is called contra. So you have an example of doubtful debts. You have an example of amortization, depreciation, and evaluation allowances you create. So whatever negative sign you create on the asset side, they are called a contra assets.
Okay.
चलिए, no more questions, तो हम चलते हैं आगे and let's go to the income statement. So income statements, you have a few items there. You can have a revenue, you have a expenses, you have a gains, and you have a losses. So your income statements, what is revenue? So when you sell something, a goods or a service, it is called revenue earned from the operations. You can have an other revenue, which is not directly associated with your business, but you invest, let's say your ideal fund, you get the interest, you get the dividend, you get the rental income. So anything which is coming directly from the business, it is called revenue from operation. Anything which is coming from the other sources, it is called other income or a non-operating revenue. Same goes for the expenses. Anything which is directly attributable to your revenue, it is called a cost of sales. So, for example, I'm selling this pen. So, all the raw material or the production costs, labor, overheads to manufacture this particular pen, they are my cost of sales. So, cost of sales are recorded before the gross profit line. There could be other expenses which are not directly attributable, but still they are my business expenses. It could be, let's say, rent of factory, it could be salaries of the people, it could be depreciation. So all those business expenses can be classified into a various categories. तो सबसे पहले दो मेन हेडर्स होते हैं P&L में. You have a revenue, you have a expenses. These are your routine and day-to-day transactions of your business life. Then you have something called gains and losses. These are generally not in the ordinary course of the business. That's why you call them gain and losses. So suppose gains की बात करते हैं पहले. You have an asset at a book value, let's say, of $5,000, and you sell the asset for $7,000. So you have a gain of $2,000. So it's not an ordinary course of the business because you don't sell the asset in day-to-day life. So that $2,000 is getting recorded as a gain on sale of fixed asset as a one-time item, and you don't show 7,000 income minus 5,000 expense. Rather, you just show $2,000 as a one line item in your income statement. Taking a same example, let's say you have a book value of the asset of $5,000, you sell for only $1,000. Now you have a loss of $4,000. Again, you report a net number in your P&L, which is called loss on sale of assets. Whenever there is a gain or loss which are not ordinary course of the business, which are either extraordinary item or just occurred one of the item, you present and disclose them separately, so user of the financial statement can understand that these gains and losses are not repetitive in nature. Now on the bottom of the page there are few terminologies given. You can use, if even if you don't use, it doesn't matter, but let's understand them. So inventory to COGS. So when, let's say, you bring a raw material and you manufacture this pen is not sold yet. So this is your inventory in your current assets. Once you sell this pen out, this becomes your cost of goods sold and it moves to your income statement. So expired means you have consumed that cost. So expired cost goes to your P&L, which is cost of goods sold. Till the time it is not expired, it is called unexpired cost or the asset in your current asset section, which is inventory. Another example, prepaid insurance. You paid 12 months insurance in advance. It is an asset or unexpired cost. Every month you record the insurance expense over a 12 months, then it is called expired cost or a expense. Or let's say fixed assets. So you recognize a fixed assets today, it is unexpired cost, it's an asset. Whenever you record a depreciation, it is called expired cost, it is a expense. So if you see the first items on the left hand side, inventory, prepaid or net book value or intangible asset, they are the assets. They are recorded in the balance sheet. It is called unexpired cost. उनका corresponding line P&L में क्या होता है? Inventory का cost of goods sold, prepaid insurance का insurance expense, fixed assets NPP&D का depreciation and amortization. So whenever those events triggered, asset का value कम होते जाता है and your expenses goes up. Just a terminologies they used in your material, so we have covered. But as logic says, we saw in basic concepts as well that you recognize the expense when they are incurred, not when they are paid. So for example, prepaid insurance आपने अभी pay कर दिया, you don't recognize entire insurance expense now. First of all, it is booked as a prepaid asset and then you amortized over a period of time. Now, US GAAP allows you to prepare the income statement in either of the way. So one is a multi-step approach and one is a single step approach. Both are acceptable approach. So what is multi-step versus what is single step? So multi-step है, it's more detailed approach जहाँ पर user of the financials they are getting more detail out of it. Mostly companies follows this because they get to know the classification of their expenses in bit more detail. So you start always with revenue from operations only. So no other incomes are recorded here. So this is only revenue from operation minus cost of sales gives you a gross profit. So this gross margin shows how good is your product. हो सकता है कि this pen is at my loss making business, but my gross margin is in positive. So as a financial user, I know my product is good. I need to control on my other expenses. But let's say if my gross margin is negative, then my product itself is a bad. Before I correct my other expenses, I have to correct my product. So multi-step income statement gives a bit more detail to make the analysis than a single step approach. तो आप शुरू कहाँ से करोगे? You always start with a net sales, which is the revenue from operation, minus cost of sales, you get a gross profit. From this gross profit, you reduce your operating expenses. So all those expenses which are incurred to run the business. This can be selling expenses, general administrative overhead, depreciation, wages, taxes, bad debts, anything which is directly associated with your day-to-day business. So gross margin minus operating expenses, you get income from operation. This is nothing but your EBITDA. Again, this is a very, very important aspect that your income from operation has to be positive, then your business is doing good. Otherwise, you need to control your operating expenses. From this income from operation, you add income which are not from the operation, expense which are not from the operation. So, for example, you earn a rental income, not part of your business, but you just earn for this year. You earn interest and dividend income, not part of your day-to-day operation, but you earn. So, all non-operating incomes are getting added and non-operating expenses are getting subtracted. So, income from operation plus other revenue minus other expense gives you income before taxes. Minus income tax, you get income from continuing operation. Plus you plus or minus you have a discontinuing operation which is net of tax. We will just see in a moment in next couple of slide what is discontinuing operation, and then we will solve one example as well. So income from continuing operation plus income from discontinuing operation gives you a net income. So this is a one multi-step approach. Comparing to a single step approach, what you do, it's a traditional style approach. जहाँ पर first you record all the revenue and incomes, you reduce all the expense and losses. So let's start. You have a revenue from operations, you have a service revenue, you have a other revenue, let's say interest, dividend, rental income, plus any extraordinary gains and losses, everything you recorded, which is your gain as a one go. Minus you reduce all the expenses and losses at a one go. This includes your cost of sales, operating expense, interest expense, loss on sale of asset, income tax expense, everything, every expenses you reduce at a one go. So total revenue minus total expenses will give you income from continuing operation, plus or minus discontinuing operation gives you a net income. So multi-step gives you a little bit more classification कि आपका कौन सा इनकम बिजनेस से आ रहा है, कौन सा इनकम नॉन बिजनेस से आ रहा है. Whereas single step approach gives you a single picture that what are your total revenues and what are your total expenses. Both the approaches are acceptable under US GAAP. Any questions on income statement format?
Mhm.
चलिए क्विकली आपका एक बार बैकर भी देख लेते हैं. So income statement. So you have a certain terminologist we just saw. You have an inventory, P&L में जाएगा तो cost of sales, prepaid insurance, insurance expense. Your assets or intangible asset goes as a depreciation or a amortization expenses. Then we saw revenue ka definition, we saw expense ka definition, gains, these are generally non-recurring in nature, losses non-recurring in nature. This note is very important. So items of the income and losses that are unusual or infrequent or both should be reported separately as a part of income from continuing operation. So this will help user of the financial statement with the details that these items may not reoccur in the future. So let's quickly see the format. We have an example here. So quickly इसको go through कर लेते हैं. So a company has given you a trial balance which has a lot of items, and what you are supposed to prepare, you are supposed to prepare and multi-step income statement from the given trial balance. तो सबसे पहले मल्टी स्टेप है, इसका मतलब वी नीड रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम ऑपरेशन एज अवर स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. सो जो सेल्स रेवेन्यू ऑफ 380 less returns and discount of 25 and 5, which is 30. So 380 minus 30 gives you 350. 350 plus services revenue 200. This gives you 550. Now you don't know rental revenue is your main business or not. We assume it is not. So your revenue from operation has to be $550. Okay, so in this example, they have assumed rental is also their main activity, so they have added further $100. So they have put $650 as their total revenue. Let's see what is the cost of sales they have given. So cost of goods sold 200, cost of services 150, cost of rental. Because rental income we have assumed the main business, the cost also we are taking. So 200 150 gives you 350 plus 60 gives you 410. So 410 will be reduced as a cost of sales. So sales minus cost of sales gives you a gross profit of $240. Now we need to reduce all the operating expenses. So let's go back to the format again. So what we are saying, sales minus cost of sales, a gross margin minus all the operating expenses. This includes your selling, general, admin, depreciation, all the expenses which are used to run the business. So let's see what all expenses we have. So we have a salary expenses of 70. Let's see, we have a freight out expenses. This is again a kind of selling and admin expenses. We have a commissions. We have a advertising expenses. So, or we have a insurance. We have a depreciation. So all these expenses are forming part of your operating expenses. So let's see what they are saying. Selling expense include freight out, salary, commission, advertising, general administrative expenses, insurance. So all these items you have totaled up and it is reduced from your selling and administrative expenses. So 170 80 comes to 250. So 240 ka you have a gross profit minus 250 ka operating expenses gives you income from operation as a negative $10 loss. Going back to trial balance again, what are your other incomes they have given? So interest revenue, other revenue, and gain on sale for available for sale security. This generally goes to your OCI, but right now let's ignore this. So 170 plus 130, 300 plus 50 is 350. So 350 is recorded as a non-operating revenue. Then you have a non-operating expenses, which are your 50. Loss on sale of fixed asset, you will show it separately because it's a unusual transaction. Restructuring expenses is again unusual expenses. And then you have a loss on discontinuing operation. इसको भी एक बार के लिए ignore करते हैं. So let's come down to a solution again. You have a non-operating income minus you have a non-operating expenses. Unusual expenses gives you total income before tax of $150. And you have a certain tax rates given in the question, or you are given directly with an income tax expenses. So you have an income tax expense here, which is $100. So 150 is your total income minus income tax expense of 100 gives you $50 of net income from the continuing operation. Plus you add discontinuing operation net of taxes. Your discontinuing operation net of taxes are $25 of loss. So $50 of income from operation minus $25 discontinuing operation gives you a total net income for the period. Just a mathematics, but more important is the format. Again, sales minus cost of sales, gross margin. This is your step one, minus all the operating expenses gives you income from operations, step two, plus non-operating income minus non-operating losses. This is the step three, which gives you income from operations as a total. Minus taxes gives you a net income from the continuing operation. Plus or minus discontinuing operation gives you a total net income. Question में कोई भी doubt आपको this particular illustration? Just a
Mm,
format example. ठीक है. Let's scroll it down. You have then single step approach. I'm not going on to a figures now. Single step approach, we are using the same example. So what we are doing here, we are now putting all the incomes at a one go, all the expense at a one go. So earlier हमने सिर्फ sales revenue, service revenue and rental revenue को रखा था. Now we also added interest revenue, gain on sale of available for sale security, other revenue. So all the things are merged towards the revenue. Expenses, we again merged everything, be it a cost of sales, be it a selling expense, be it a unusual expense, be it a income tax expense, be it a interest expense. All the expenses are clubbed here. So total revenue minus total expense gives you income from continuing operation, plus or minus discontinued operation gives you a total net income. So just a two different format how you can prepare the income statement. कोई भी क्वेश्चन आपको इन द इनकम स्टेटमेंट?
Mm,
चले आगे.
yeah.
Okay, let's understand now discontinuing operation. Here we saw one line, plus or minus discontinuing operation, plus or minus discontinuing operation. तो discontinuing operation सबसे पहले होता क्या है? So discontinuing operation means there is a part of your business which you decided to stop. It may not be fully stopped yet today, but you have already taken a decision. Then it is called a discontinuing operation. Let's take an example. Suppose you are in a teaching industry and आप दो चीजें बनाते हो. You prepare this marker pen and let's say you prepare a duster. Now, duster is contributing 50% revenue, pen is contributing 50% revenue. Now, going forward, you have decided to shut down the duster's operations. Then it is called a discontinuing operation. Or let's say you are a Reliance company, Reliance, let's say they are in a two sort of business, petroleum plus telecommunication. If tomorrow they decide to discontinue telecommunication, then it is called a discontinued operation. तो आइडेंटिफाई सबसे पहले कैसे करना है व्हाट इज अ डिसकंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन. So the criteria says there is a strategic shift in the business. So this is a broad word, a strategic shift. Strategic shift का मतलब होता है कि there is a component of your business which is either fully sold out, that is a disposed of, or you have held for sale. It means you have taken a decision. Now your decision कैसे होता है? You have, let's say, a board of directors approval, you have an investors approval, you have already done a press conference to a major public saying that you are going to demerge or discontinue business. It could be a major official reason given to the public at large that you are trying to discontinue a business. So number one, either you already disposed of or you have held for sale. But when you are doing held for sale, you have a board of directors approval and larger public is informed about that particular decision. Number two, it represents a strategic shift. So suppose let's say there is a Domino's, they create a pizzas. Now they have, let's say, 20 flavors right now. They decided to shut down two flavors. So it is not a discontinuing operation because it is not a major strategic shift. But let's say Domino's have stopped serving soft drinks and garlic breads completely. Now, if they are doing a reporting at a product level, then it may be a major strategic shift. So strategic shift is a judgment call which a company and which auditor needs to take. There is no a definite definition कि किसको strategic बोलेंगे किसको नहीं बोलेंगे. But something where users decision can get affected, a material decision, it is called a strategic shift. Now few example, major geographical area. So let's take to an example. Let's say there is a Wipro. Now Wipro is operating across, let's say, all countries across the globe. Tomorrow they decide to shift their operation completely for APEC countries, Southeast Asia countries. Now that's a strategic shift. They discontinued one operation which was a major geographical area. Or let's say equity method of investment. We have a separate chapter again, but equity method means you have invested in some entity with 20 to 50% investment stake. Now 20 to 50 is a big investment stake, and if you're taking out that investment from that particular company, it is a major strategic shift or major line of the business. So let's say Tata Group, let's assume it as a two business, Tata Motors and TCS. So tomorrow, if they decide to close TCS, it's a major line of the business getting discontinued. So 3 points. Number one, component is already gone, or you have decided and you have put it for the sale. It should be a major strategic shift. It could be a geographical area, a huge investment, or a major line of the business. Now there is a one hint. I'll give it to you. A practical life में क्या होता है? You will learn in our future chapters. There is a segment reporting. A segment reporting means you have to report anything which contributes more than 10% revenue. It could be a geography, it could be a product as well. So what we do in real life, that if there is a segment reporting applicable, it is a strategic shift. So suppose segment reporting says that Wipro is earning 10% revenue in India, 50% in US, 30% in UK, and remaining in APAC and Southeast Asia. So if we have this segment reporting available and that region is getting shut down, it's a separate, it's a strategic shift, it's a geographical area which is getting shut down. Or let's say you are in a multiple industry, let's say Reliance, it is reporting the revenue from the petroleum business. Reliance is reporting revenue from the telecommunication, Reliance Entertainment. And now let's say tomorrow telecommunication is getting shut down. It's a separate major line of the business. So practical life says if segment reporting is yes, then all this criteria will be triggered always, always, and always. But for your exam point of view, you have a three factors which you need to remember. Now, हम लोग क्या include करते हैं when we have a discontinuing operation? If it is not disposed of, it means you are still running the business. आपने सिर्फ decision लेके रखा है that you are going to sell the particular item, then you show what is the results, what is the net profit or a loss from that particular discontinued segment. Or let's say आपने dispose कर दिया है, then you are going to show what is the net profit or loss on the disposal. If there is any impairment in your assets or any subsequent recovery on the impairment, we'll understand impairment in a minute. And all the things are reported net of the taxes. So below is the format. You have income from continuing operations. This is the step, income from continuing operation. Then you represent discontinuing operation separately. अब क्या क्या चीज देते हो? Loss or a profit from the operation, और अगर आपने उसको बेच दिया है वो particular operation को, then what is the gain or loss on the disposal. The last is the impairment. Now impairment, let's understand impairment का मतलब ये होता है there is a permanent reduction in the value of your asset. For example, let's say you are studying in a Austin University. Now Austin University has, let's say, an a student building जहाँ पर लोग study करते हैं. It has a value of $1 million. Now COVID came and US government says everybody will study from the home only. So now the value for that building has dropped down to 200K because nobody is going to use that particular building. Its market rate fall down. So that 800K ka loss, it is called an impairment. Now let's say after 2 years, COVID normalized, people came back to the universities again. So the value of the property again came back to $500. So there is a recovery of $300. It is called a subsequent recovery of the impairment loss. When we will do PP&D accounting standard, we will understand in detail how to calculate impairment loss. But discontinuing operation, you present profit and loss or profit on disposal or impairment, everything is reported net of the taxes. कोई भी question, what is discontinuing operations?
Hmm.
चलिए, so before going into the example, let's quickly go to the book and I will ask you to quickly go through the section number 4, which is income from discontinuing operation. किसको बोलते हैं, क्या conditions होनी चाहिए? Can you quickly go to page number 5 and 6? उसके बाद हम लोग example number 3 देखते हैं. Take 5 minutes, go through your page number 9 and page number 10. एक बार quickly इसको review कर लो आप. Yes, हमने देख लिया. You are still doing.
I'm done.
चलिए ठीक है. Let's now further scroll it down towards the example. So over to you. In this example, you have to first prepare the income statement, and you have a two divisions given. Number one, all the components of the sports company, and number two, golf division. Golf division is getting discontinued. Read the question, try to solve it. अगर आप stuck होते हो, then I'll help you to solve it out. And in this particular example, please take a care that in year one, the division is not sold yet, but in year two, the division is sold. So, एक बार हम question go through करते हैं, then you can read it. So, what they are saying, there is a sports company, and in sports company, the golf division has been losing the money on the monthly basis. The golf division income statement accounts are as under. The board of directors have decided on 30th April to dispose of the division. So on year one, you have decided to dispose of. It is not yet disposed of. So if we go back to our particular slide, what we say that either a decision is taken, either it is actually disposed or a decision is taken. So in year one, we have taken a decision only. What they are saying, the carrying value of their assets are 4 million and its fair value less cost to sales is 2.2 million. Now this is actually an impairment loss. So impairment loss आपको क्या बोलता है कि if your carrying value is less than fair value less cost of sales, then it is called an impairment. So 4 million minus 2.2 million, which means 1.8 million is your impairment loss. उन्होंने ऑलरेडी आपको दे दिया है यहाँ पे नीचे P&L में impairment loss 1.8 million. After the negotiations, the divisions of the net assets are actually sold in year two for 2 million. That means in year two आपने actually आपका जो golf division है उसको sell out कर दिया. Now जब आपने sell out किया तो आपने जो 2.2 million की आपकी assets थी यहाँ पे वो आपने 2 million पे sell की. That means there is a further loss of 200K on sale. The golf division का second year में लॉस है 200K पर मंथ. सो उन्होंने ऑपरेशन 6 महीने तक किया, जनवरी टू जून. पर मंथ दे हैव अ लॉस ऑफ 200K. सो टोटल लॉस वाज 1.2 million. Income tax rate was 40% for both the year. Assume that all the sports income are from the operation. 4.8 million in year one, 5.2 million in year two. सो आपको अब इसके बेस पे एक इनकम स्टेटमेंट प्रिपेयर करना है. आराम से क्वेश्चन रेफर कीजिए, क्वेश्चन का आप सोल्यूशन रेफर कीजिए. आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क यू द क्वेश्चंस. इफ यू हैव नो क्वेश्चंस तो इसको ध्यान से देखिए, ट्राई टू सॉल्व इट, ट्राई टू राइट इट, बिकॉज दिस इज अ सिमुलेशन दैट कैन डेफिनेटली कम टू योर सीपीए एग्जाम्स. टेक 5 to 7 minutes ऑफ टाइम. उसके बाद हम लोग आगे कैरी ऑन करते हैं.
मुझे करना क्या?
सॉरी,
Where do I start?
यू स्टार्ट विद दिस फैक्ट्स. पहले क्वेश्चन पढ़िए पी एंड एल का. and then check what they have asked you to prepare. So they have asked you to prepare a financial statements, which is your P&L for year one and year two. So आप slides पे अगर देखोगे, this is the format of your P&L. You can use single step or a multi-step, your choice. And then you have to report discontinuing operations separately, which is loss from operation, loss on disposal, or impairment loss, all those things, whatever are applicable. So go through the format, go through the question and try to solve it. अगर आप stuck होते हो, I'll help you to solve it.
मैं पहले गोल्फ डिवीजन का सेपरेट करूंगा या मैं पहले और कंपोनेंट्स को ऐड करूंगा?
Choice is yours क्योंकि दोनों का presentation separate है. So all components is your
ऑल
income
कंपोनेंट्स
factor.
में गोल्फ डिवीजन के वैल्यूज एडेड हैं।
No, it is not added. So what question says your all components means all the components other than golf division. So all the components means all minus golf already they have given, and golf is a separate division. So the left hand side is your column up to income from continuing operation, and right hand side it's everything for a discontinuing operation. However, your question is fair. इन सीपीए एग्जाम्स आपको क्लैरिटी एकदम से दी जाएगी. योर सिमुलेशंस विल नॉट बी एम्बिग्यूअस. आप यहाँ पर देयर इज नो क्लैरिटी गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन कि दिस इज द टोटल अमाउंट और टोटल माइनस कॉल. सो यू कैन टेक योर कॉल, बट अगेन सीपीए एग्जाम्स में आपको पूरी की पूरी क्लैरिटी मिल जाएगी क्वेश्चन में. चलिए क्विकली सॉल्व करें क्या, और यू वांट टू गिव एन अटेम्प्ट?
मैंने कंपोनेंट्स की कंपोनेंट्स का इनकम निकाल लिया, उसका टैक्स निकाल लिया, एंड देन आई फाउंड द नेट इनकम ऑफ गोल्फ डिवीजन.
गोल्फ डिवीजन का नेट इनकम आपने निकाला है। चलिए बताइए, लेट्स टैली द आंसर एट बॉटम ऑफ द पेज। जो सोल्यूशन दिया है इज ईयर वन के लिए वी आर टॉकिंग। सो ईयर वन वी आर।
Let me just calculate the tax.
ठीक है।
Yeah.
ठीक है, फॉर गोल्फ डिवीजन आपका लॉस है 2.4 मिलियन। इज दिस नंबर मैचिंग टू यू? 2.4 मिलियन लॉस
Yes.
इज आफ्टर टैक्स लॉस मैचिंग 1.4 मिलियन।
Yes.
ठीक है। इम्पेयरमेंट लॉस ये आपका लॉस हो गया फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस ओनली। इसके बाद आपका इम्पेयरमेंट है
मैंने impairment loss कैलकुलेट नहीं किया.
हाँ जी, इम्पेयरमेंट लॉस है आपका कैसे निकला है? योर एसेट्स वैल्यू इज 4 मिलियन, your fair value less cost to sale is 2 million. So fair value less cost to sales means current recoverable value. अगर आज आप बिल्डिंग को सेल करते हो, so you are recording a building at 4 million but your current value is 2.2 million. So 1.8 million is your impairment loss. So impairment loss इन्होंने कैसे कैलकुलेट किया? 2.2 million your recoverable value minus 4 million book value. So 1.8 million is the impairment loss. Impairment loss is also shown net of the taxes. So 40% taxes becomes 1.08 million. तो आप प्रेजेंट कैसे करोगे? सो यू हैव अ इनकम फ्रॉम कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन, क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है 4.8 मिलियन। कहाँ दिया हुआ है? If you scroll up the question, what they say, assume that all sports incomes from the continuing operation is 4.8 million for year 1 and 5.2 million in year 2. तो आपको इनकम फ्रॉम कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन दे दिया गया है 4.8 मिलियन। सो यू स्टार्ट एट 4.8 मिलियन। एक बार हम स्लाइड पे आते हैं। यू आर हियर, इनकम फ्रॉम कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन, आपको ये फिगर ऑलरेडी दे दी गई है। Now you just have to put plus or minus discontinuing operation. Discontinuing operation में हम तीन चीजें दिखाते हैं: loss on operations, loss on disposal and impairment loss. अब हमारा फर्स्ट ईयर में डिस्पोजल तो हुआ नहीं था, so there is a loss on operations. So loss on operation हमने कैलकुलेट किया 1.4 million just now. So this 1.4 million is coming from here. लॉस ऑन इम्पेयरमेंट हमने अभी कैलकुलेट किया 1 मिलियन. सो योर डिसकंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन इज शोइंग टू लॉसेस, 1.4 मिलियन एंड 1 मिलियन. And your total net income is 4.8 million minus 1.4 million minus 1.08 million. So 2.3 million is your total net income for the year. This is year 1. अब year 2 में क्या बोला है? So year 2 में first of all this is your starting point. Income from continuing operation 5.2 million क्वेश्चन में दे दिया है. नाउ लेट्स रीड टू द क्वेश्चन अगेन. ईयर 2 में क्या हो रहा है? आपने जो आपकी एसेट को डी वैल्यू किया था 2.2 मिलियन पे, वो सेल आउट हुई 2 मिलियन पे. सो दैट इज अ फर्दर लॉस ऑफ 200 के. प्लस आपने 6 मंथ्स जो बिजनेस किया ईयर 2 में, यू हैड अ लॉस ऑफ 200 के पर मंथ. सो टोटल लॉस फ्रॉम ऑपरेशन वाज 1.2 मिलियन. So what we are saying, number one, loss on operation, which is a 6 months loss, 200k into 6 months, which comes to 1.2 million. 40% tax effect comes to 720k. So आपने 720k यहाँ पर present कर लिया loss from operation. Then you have a loss on disposal. जब आपने actual sales किया, now you have a value of your asset at 2.2 million, but you sold for 2 million only. So that is a further loss of 200k. 40% tax effect देने के बाद your net loss is 120k. So 120,000 you represent here as a loss on disposal. So 5.2 million income from continuing operation minus 700k, which is your loss from operation, minus 100k a discontinuing operation for the loss of sale, which comes 4.3 million as your net income from the second year period. Again, more a presentation question, but there is a calculation involved how we calculate loss on discontinuing operations. कोई भी डाउट ये पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल में आपको?
No.
क्रिस्टल क्लियर, पक्का कोई डाउट नहीं है? बिकॉज दिस वी मे नॉट टच अगेन इन नेक्स्ट 3 months. कॉन्सेप्चुअली कोई भी डाउट?
Not in this example.
चलिए, लेट्स मूव. आई थिंक आप आज जब सिमुलेशंस करोगे यू विल हैव, आई थिंक, डिसकंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन के सिमुलेशन, सो यू विल गेट टू नो कि आपको कोई क्वेश्चंस है कि नहीं है. Now let's move to the next topic. Before that, let's take a 5 minutes break. We have a two more topics to go: foreign currency and OCI. Then we will be done with the first chapter. So let's meet at 8:10. We have 7 minutes to go, and then we'll continue with the remaining two topics. चलिए शुरू करते हैं. Let's go towards the next topic, which is a foreign currency transactions. एक एग्जांपल से समझते हैं पहले, then we'll go to PDF and PPT both. So what is foreign currency transaction? Let's say you have a base currency. Let's say I'm based out of India, so I have a base currency of INR. If I'm doing any transaction other than INR, it is called a foreign currency transaction. Now this creates a lot of complications in the accounting. You can have a various rates. Let's say you have a spot rate. So spot rate is a rate when you do the transaction. So let's suppose today is the 30th April 2026. I have done a transaction. Let's say I have purchased a goods worth, let's say, $1,000, and my spot rate was USD to INR. Let's say it was 100 rupees. So my purchase price at USD was 1,000. My exchange rate was 100, and my INR amount was $1,000 into 100, which comes to $10,000. Sorry, 1 lakh dollar. Now there could be a complication. Let's say I'm closing my books on 31st of December every year. So my reporting date is 12/31 each year. Now there is a balance sheet date that came, which is 31st December 2026. I have not settled this transaction yet. So there is a revalued amount, and let's say my USD to INR has now swing to 110. So my the dollar value was 1,000. The 10 has increased as a revaluation because of my currency fluctuation. Or let's say this became 110 and my value has become 110. Now, can I say on 30th April, I had a payable of 1 lakh Indian rupees, which has increased to 1 lakh 10,000 Indian rupees on 31st of December. So this 10,000 of loss is called a foreign currency. Sorry, this is called a foreign currency loss on translation. This is called an unrealized loss on reporting date. Why it is unrealized? Because this is not actual loss. This is just a loss because of the change in the foreign exchange rate. So I pass a entry here. So we'll put entries after a time. Let's say that I did a settlement. Let's say I did a settlement on 3rd of February 2027. And let's say I paid $3,000 to the vendor. And let's say the rate on that particular date was 95. The rupee got improved, dollar got weakened, and let's say I made a payment of only 95,000 Indian rupees. So now my liability was 1,10,000 on reporting date, but I settled my liability only for 95,000. So this is now called a realized gain on settlement of the transaction. Now, words are important. The first one is unrealized gain because actual settlement did not take place. Second one is called a realized gain because I actually settled my liability. So let's try to put entries. So what entries will happen? On 30th of April 2026, when I purchased the goods, my entry was expense account debited with 1 lakh rupees to my accounts payable for 1 lakh rupees. Now on 31st of December, I did not settle the amount, but my liability got increased to 1 lakh 10,000. So my accounts payable increased by 10,000. So this 10,000 is my unrealized loss on foreign exchange. And then on 3rd February 2027, I actually paid out my accounts payable. Now फर्स्ट सेशन मैंने आपको एक बात बोली थी, जो जो अकाउंट आप ओपन करते हो वो अकाउंट आपको क्लोज करने पड़ते हैं इन अकाउंटिंग. सो लेट्स नाउ अंडरस्टैंड. हमने अकाउंट्स पेबल जो ओपन किया है अकाउंट, उसका बैलेंस कितना है, इट इज 1,10,000, सो वी हैव टू क्लोज एंटायर 1,10,000. So my accounts payable is closed with 1,10,000. How much cash I am paying? I am only paying 95,000 cash because I have a favorable exchange rate. So this is called gain on FX settlement for 15,000. So this is how your foreign exchange transactions are recorded. So initial recognition happens always at a spot rate. Then you see whether you have settled the transaction or not. If you have not settled the transaction and balance sheet date comes, then you revalue your assets or liabilities at a closing rate or a current rate on the balance sheet date. And whatever exchange gain and loss you park as an unrealized gain or loss in income statement only. And then when you do a settlement, you put a realized gain or loss in your income statement. एग्जाम्पल में कोई भी क्वेश्चन आपको?
Mm.
चलिए एक बार पहले पीपीटी में चलते हैं. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड फॉरेन करेंसी ट्रांजैक्शंस और एक बार फिर बैकर देख लेते हैं. सो लेट्स से देयर इज एन एक्सचेंज रेट. सो आप एक्सचेंज रेट को दो तरीके से बोल सकते हो. दिस इज जस्ट अ इंग्लिश एक्टिव वॉइस पैसिव वॉइस. या तो मैं इसको डायरेक्टली बोलूं कि भाई माय 1 यूरो इज इक्वल टू $1.47, या मैं उसको उल्टा बोलूं कि माय $1 इज इक्वल टू 0.68 यूरो. सो फर्स्ट इज योर एक्टिव वॉइस. यू से कि मेरी होम करेंसी इज समथिंग टू अ फॉरेन करेंसी, या मैं उसको इनडायरेक्ट वे में बोलूं कि योर फॉरेन करेंसी इज समथिंग टू माय होम करेंसी. मैथमेटिक रिमेन्स द सेम. स्पॉट रेट का मतलब है द करंट एक्सचेंज रेट, द टाइम यू रिकॉर्ड अ ट्रांजैक्शन, उस टाइम पे क्या रेट था उसको बोलते हैं स्पॉट रेट. नाउ फॉरेन करेंसी में गेन भी हो सकता है, फॉरेन करेंसी में आपको लॉस भी हो सकता है. इट ऑल डिपेंड्स आपने पोजीशंस क्या ली है. सो सपोज आप, जैसे कि हमारा जो एग्जांपल है, सॉरी, हमारा जो पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल है उसमें हमने परचेस किया हुआ था. सो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन अगर एक्सचेंज रेट ड्रॉप होता है देन इट्स आवर गेन. So we had a liability of 1,10,000 which come down to 95,000. So it's a gain. Suddenly अगर ये सेल साइड होती हमारी, लाइक वी हैव सोल्ड अ गुड्स, तो ये हमारा लॉस होता. सो इट ऑल डिपेंड्स कि आप क्या पोजीशन पे हो. यू मे हैव अ गेन, यू मे हैव अ लॉस, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द सिचुएशन. और बॉटम ऑफ द पेज एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल है. दिस इज द सेम एग्जांपल इज इन योर बैकर टू. So suppose you purchase something on a credit for INR 1 lakh वर्थ, आप डॉलर्स में उसकी परचेस कर रहे हो. नाउ जब आपने परचेस किया 1 दिसंबर को, तब आपका स्पॉट रेट था 0.10. सो योर डॉलर्स लेट्स से वाज $1,000. 31 दिसंबर यू डिड नॉट मेक द पेमेंट, आपका डॉलर का वैल्यू गिर के हो गया 0.08. सो यू हैड अ फॉरेन एक्सचेंज गेन. बट आपने जब पे किया तब आपने 0.09 पे किया, सो देयर इज अ एफएक्स लॉस. क्विकली इसका एक बार कैलकुलेशन देख लेते हैं. व्हाट वी आर सेइंग, यू परचेज समथिंग फॉर INR 100,000. आपने जब परचेस किया तब आपका रेट था 0.10. So 0.10 was the rate. So this was the INR value. This was the exchange rate. और आपका USD अमाउंट था this into 0.1. It was 10,000 US dollar. This was your spot transaction. Then balance sheet date came. और बैलेंस शीट डेट पे आपने क्या देखा कि योर डॉलर इज 0.08 ओनली. So this has changed to 0.08. Your dollar value is 10,000. तो आपका जो इंडियन रुपीज में लायबिलिटी था वो 1 लाख से कम होकर, सॉरी आई नीड टू डिवाइड, वो 1 लाख से कम, 1 लाख से इंक्रीज होके 1,25,000 के ऊपर पहुंच गया. सो दिस इज योर फॉरेन एक्सचेंज लॉस ट्रांजैक्शन इफ दिस इज अ परचेस, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज गेन ट्रांजैक्शन इफ दिस इज अ सेल्स ट्रांजैक्शन. जब आपने सेटलमेंट किया तब आपका ट्रांजैक्शन वहां पर चेंज होकर था, इट वाज 0.09. सो लेट्स से 0.09, द वैल्यू इज सेम. आपने सेटल डाउन किया 1,11,000 में. So whatever is a gain now or whatever is a loss now, this is called a realized gain or loss on the settlement of the transaction. Let me quickly cross check कुछ mathematics में गड़बड़ किया है क्या हमने. Why we have a different numbers from them. So we purchase 1 lakh from the credit, $0.10. So we have a purchase of $10,000, $10,000. Okay. So they have given a solution as if US dollar is your home currency and Indian rupees as your foreign currency. We solve this transaction as if Indian rupees is our home currency and US dollar is a foreign currency. ठीक है, the concept remains exactly the same. $2,000 को आप इंडियन रुपीस में कन्वर्ट करोगे, आर नंबर ऑफ द लॉस एंड गेन इज गोइंग टू मैच. But the crux of the transaction is you need to record the transaction at a spot rate, and whatever unrealized gain or a loss you need to record it on a balance sheet date, and then the date when you settle down you transfer that to a realized gain or a loss account. Conceptually कोई भी क्वेश्चन आपको फॉरेन करेंसी ट्रांजैक्शंस में?
कभी कभी वो कहते हैं कि द रेट हैज मूव फ्रॉम दिस टू दिस so has our currency strengthened or worsened. How do I do that? Can I, is there a way I can figure that out without calculating each single
नहीं,
foreign?
कैलकुलेट आपको हमेशा करना पड़ेगा. स्ट्रेंथन या वीकन से आप आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो. सपोज लेट्स से आई एम इन इंडिया, इफ आई एम सेइंग कि इंडियन रूपी गॉट स्ट्रॉन्गर, तो उसका मतलब है डॉलर इज वीकर. अब इसके दो इंटरप्रिटेशन है. डॉलर वीक हुआ इफ आई हैव अ पेबल्स, आई हैव अ प्रॉफिट. लॉजिकली आप सोचो कि मुझे किसी को डॉलर में पैसा देना था, डॉलर इज नाउ वीक, सो आई हैव अ बेनिफिट. But I have a dollar receivable, let's say, and dollar is weak, then it's my loss. So it depends on situation to situation. आपको ट्रांजेक्शन के हिसाब से कैलकुलेशंस करने पड़ेंगे.
Okay.
चलिए एक बार क्विकली आपके डॉक्यूमेंट में देख लेते हैं व्हाट दे हैव गिवन. So foreign currency transaction gains and losses occur when company buys from or sells to a foreign company whom it has a no ownership and agrees to pay or accept the payment in a foreign currency. So transaction आपका foreign currency में होना चाहिए. एक्सचेंज रेट का मतलब क्या है? द रेट विच यू एक्सचेंज बिटवीन द करेंसी. डायरेक्ट मेथड मतलब एक्टिव वॉइस, इनडायरेक्ट मेथड मतलब पैसिव वॉइस, मतलब एक ही होता है. करंट एक्सचेंज रेट का मतलब है स्पॉट रेट. राइट नाउ आपने जब ट्रांजैक्शन किया तब क्या रेट चल रहा है. अब आपके फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेट चेंज हो सकते हैं, आइदर आप पेमेंट करते हो उस टाइम पे या बैलेंस शीट डेट अगर बीच में आ जाती है तो उस टाइम पे. सो इफ अ ट्रांजैक्शन इज नॉट सेटल्ड, देन ईच बैलेंस शीट डेट पे आपको हर एक ट्रांजैक्शन को रीवैल्यू करना पड़ेगा एट द क्लोजिंग रेट, और जो भी आपका गेन और लॉस होगा वो जाएगा आपका अनरियलाइज्ड गेन या अनरियलाइज्ड लॉस पर्टिकुलर अकाउंट में. जो हमने एग्जांपल देखा एग्जैक्टली सेम एग्जांपल, यहाँ पर थे यूज्ड अ डिफरेंट करेंसी. क्विकली एग्जांपल देख लेते हैं. ऑन 1st of December you have purchased the goods on 100,000 P currency. Olinto company pays on 1st of February on year 2. आपने जब परचेस किया रेट था 0.10, सो योर एंट्री वाज परचेस अकाउंट डेबिट टू अकाउंट्स पेबल $10,000 इनटू 0.10, इट इज अ $10,000. हमने जो एग्जांपल किया था, वी यूज्ड INR एज आवर होम करेंसी एंड वी डिवाइड एवरीथिंग फॉर दिस फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेट. तो हमने यूएसडी को फॉरेन करेंसी माना था, वेयर एज हियर दे फील यूएसडी इज द होम करेंसी. द सेकेंड वन आपका बैलेंस शीट डेटा आ गया. योर वैल्यू हैज रिड्यूस टू 0.08. इसका मतलब आपका जो इनिशियल लायबिलिटी था $10,000 का, दैट हैज नाउ रिड्यूस टू $8,000. सो इट्स अ फॉरेन करेंसी गेन फॉर यू. तो आपका एंट्री क्या होगा? अकाउंट्स पेएबल डेबिट टू अनरियलाइज्ड फॉरेन एक्सचेंज गेन $2,000. नाउ योर लायबिलिटी इज $8,000. आपने जब पे किया तब रेट था 0.09. इसका मतलब आपने $9,000 को एक्चुअली पे किया, जबकि आपका लायबिलिटी था $8,000. सो $1,000 इज नाउ अ लॉस, अ रियलाइज्ड लॉस. सो द एंट्री इज अकाउंट्स पेएबल डेबिट 8,000. अगेन मेरा फर्स्ट सेशन, जितने अमाउंट से अकाउंट ओपन है उतने अमाउंट से अकाउंट को क्लोज करो. आपका अकाउंट ओपन हुआ था 10,000 से, आपने 2,000 कम किए तो आपका अकाउंट्स पेएबल का बैलेंस था 8,000. सो यू डेबिटेड अकाउंट्स पेएबल एट 8,000. You have a realized foreign exchange loss of 1,000 to cash 9,000 what you paid. So this is how the foreign exchange transaction actually works. कोई भी डाउट ये पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल नंबर 4 में आपको?
Right.
ठीक है, दिस वाज अ स्मॉल कॉन्सेप्ट वाज गिवन इन द चैप्टर। हम चलते हैं हमारे लास्ट टॉपिक पे, which is your other comprehensive income. Now, when we learn OCI today, we are not going in detail because हर एक के या तो चैप्टर्स आपको दिए हुए हैं अलग से, या तो वो आपके सिलेबस का पार्ट अभी नहीं रहा है, and it has moved to your bar section. So let's quickly understand what is other comprehensive income. It is PACE. So there are four components which are covered in the other comprehensive income. PACE. P stands for your pension adjustments, not in your syllabus for far anymore. It has moved to the bar section. So what happens, just a normal idea. Suppose you are working for a company and you are giving retirement benefits to the employees. So you use the actuarial services to calculate that when employee will get retired, what sort of pension you will be paying to them. And every year that estimates keeps on changing. So that pension adjustment is not recorded in income statement, rather it is recorded in the OCI. So the first item of the other comprehensive income is PACE. P stands for pension adjustment, not part of your syllabus anymore. Number two, unrealized gain and loss for available for sale debt securities. We have a part of syllabus here, and once we go to FAR 4, we will understand how financial instruments are recorded, and at that time we will understand that why this is recorded in OCI and not in the income statement directly. But right now you understand, if you see this kind of word, it is going to the OCI. Point number C, foreign currency translation adjustment only for the parent subsidiary consolidation differences. Again, we have a full chapter when we'll do a consolidation. We have a foreign subsidiary consolidation. We'll understand that suppose I have a company, a parent company in India, and let's say I have a subsidiary in US with a USD as a currency. So when I consolidate my Indian entity, I'll translate all the USD balance sheet into a INR balance sheet. So whatever translation adjustment comes because of the foreign subsidiary translation, they are recorded under the OCI. Number four, again, we have in our chapter when we will see a financial instrument, expected instrument credit specific risk liability using a fair value option. We will see in detail that what exactly happens. But for today's session, you understand OCI means four items. It's your PACE. P is a pension adjustment. A is unrealized gain or loss on available for sale debt security. C is your foreign currency translation adjustment while doing the consolidation, and E is expected credit loss instrument specific risk. So these four items are a part of your OCI. अब OCI बना क्यों? Why we need an OCI when we already had the income statement? So when you will learn all these 4 points in detail, you will understand these four items are not realized on a particular date. For example, pension adjustment. Pension adjustment हम देते क्यों है? That when employee will get retired in future, you will pay this. So today employee has not retired, so you don't know what is the actual expense. So today you may feel $1,000 of pension. Next year you feel $1,200. The third year you feel $900. So the cost actually keeps on fluctuating. Unless employee quits the company or takes a retirement, you don't know the actual amount. Hence, you park everything into the OCI. The year when employee retires, you reclassify this item from OCI to your P&L. Number two, unrealized gain and loss for available for debt security. It is again a same item. This security you have kept for sale, it is not actually sold. So whatever gain and loss you have, you park into the OCI. जब आप सिक्योरिटी को एक्चुअली सेल आउट कर दोगे, then whatever OCI you reclassify to your income statement. Number C, your currency translation of the foreign subsidiary. So whatever gain and loss came because of the currency differences, they are not your actual gain in cash or realized gain. They are just a gain because of a books of accounts transaction. So you don't want to inflate your net income and show higher or lower net profit. Rather, you park all these differences into your OCI only. And number four, when you use a fair value option, we will see whatever loss happens, they are unrealized loss. So you again park in OCI. When you sell that particular instrument or liquidate the instrument, and when actual gain or a loss happens, then you transfer OCI to your net income. So OCI क्या है? OCI is your parking lot. You park your unrealized gain and losses into the OCI till the time the transaction is settled down. Once a transaction is settled down, you clean out your OCI and you move your item into your income statement. नाउ आप ओसीआई को दो तरीके से दिखा सकते हो. यू हैव अ सिंगल स्टेटमेंट अप्रोच विच हैज योर इनकम स्टेटमेंट प्लस ओसीआई कंबाइंड टुगेदर. या तो आप दो स्टेटमेंट अलग अलग भी बना सकते हो. द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट विल बी योर इनकम स्टेटमेंट which will end at a net income, and second statement will be statement of OCI which will start at a net income. So both the presentation are accepted. नंबर टू, ओसीआई जो है वहां पर कभी भी ईपीएस रिपोर्ट नहीं होता है बिकॉज दिस आर नॉट अ रियलाइज्ड गेन्स एट ऑल. नंबर थ्री, जो भी ओसीआई का बैलेंस होता है वो इक्विटी सेक्शन में ट्रांसफर होता है. सो यू हैव अ बिगिनिंग ओसीआई, देन यू हैव अ मूवमेंट ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, एंड देन यू हैव अ ending accumulated OCI for the period. Any questions into the OCI?
OCI is not reported per share का क्या मतलब है?
सो ओसीआई आप जब हम लोग ईपीएस करेंगे कल के सेक्शन में, वी विल सी कि आप जो अर्निंग्स पर शेयर रिपोर्ट करते हो, दैट यू रिपोर्ट ओनली टिल दिस लेवल. नेट इनकम फ्रॉम कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन, डिसकंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन एंड नेट इनकम. नेट इनकम के बाद जो आता है प्लस ओसीआई, वो ओसीआई के ऊपर कभी भी ईपीएस रिपोर्ट नहीं होता है. रीजन, ऑल द आइटम्स ऑफ योर ओसीआई इज नॉट रियलाइज्ड गेन्स. So there is no point to show to shareholders that what they have earned per share out of the OCI because ये उनको कभी भी मिलने वाला है नहीं. All right, एक बार quickly आपकी बुक देख लेते हैं and then we can solve few MCQs. So statement of comprehensive income. So statement of comprehensive income आपको क्या दिखाता है कि during the year क्या चीजें change हुई है in your OCI. So your net income plus OCI is a comprehensive income. So ये overall income statement अगर आप एक बनाते हो, coming back to the PPT, अगर आप single statement अब बनाते हो तो उसको हम बोलेंगे statement of comprehensive income, जिसमें दो पार्ट होंगे. A statement of net income, which is our first part, statement of net income plus statement of OCI. Together it becomes a statement of comprehensive income. Now other comprehensive income में चार चीजें आती है which we saw. Number one, pension adjustment. Formula is PACE. सबसे पहले आता है आपका pension adjustment. All these are again unrealized gain, but there is a note, these are no longer tested in the CPA exams for the FAR section only. When you go to a bar section, this will be tested for you. Number two, unrealized gain and losses for available for sale and debt security. Now again the word says these are unrealized gain. So you park everything into the OCI, and once you sell the security, you transfer OCI into your P&L. Number three, foreign currency translation adjustments which are coming as a part of foreign currency consolidations. So foreign currency translation adjustments and gain and losses on foreign currency transactions that are designated as economic hedges of a net investment in a foreign entity. So this word is very important, which are foreign entity investments are only reported in the OCI. हमने 5 मिनट पहले एक एग्जांपल देखा था जहां पर हमारे पास फॉरेन करेंसी ट्रांजैक्शंस गेन एंड लॉसेस थे, but these are not foreign entity investments. So all this unrealized gain and loss plus realized gain and loss, everything goes to the income statement only. But अगर आपकी foreign subsidiary है and in that subsidiary you have a foreign currency translation gain and losses, then they goes to your base. And number four, instrument specific risk, we will see when we go to a specific financial instrument chapter. जब ये चीजें मूव होती है फ्रॉम ओसीआई टू इनकम स्टेटमेंट, इट इज कॉल्ड एन reclassification. So reclassification adjustments, they are the adjustments which move from the comprehensive to the income statement amounts. Now basically आपकी चीजें कब शिफ्ट होगी? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने अवेलेबल फॉर सेल सिक्योरिटी था, उसका आपने अनरियलाइज्ड गेन रखा था, सॉरी, उसका आपने अनरियलाइज्ड गेन बुक किया था $1000 का. इट रिमेन इन ओसीआई. नेक्स्ट ईयर आपने वो सिक्योरिटी को एक्चुअली सेल कर दिया, सो नाउ इट मूव्स आउट ऑफ ओसीआई एंड इट गोज टू द इनकम स्टेटमेंट. So there is an example. एक बार quickly देख लो. Example number 5. Solution पहले मत देखना. Just see if you are able to identify which are the OCI items and which are not.
Translation.
Sorry, come again.
Translation are the OCI items.
Translation is a OCI item. Yes.
That's it.
Sorry, I'm not getting to. Come again.
That's it. Only translation is the OCI item.
Why not unrealized gains? Unrealized holding gains. Again,
That
question
was
is
in the,
not very clear. If they should have said either available for sale security or not. So there are three kind of securities. One of the kind is available for sale, and if it is AFS, then only it goes to the OCI. So question is very much silent. So एक बार solution देखते हैं उन्होंने क्या दिया है. So what they have also considered unrealized gains. So they have assumed available for sale security और वो clarity उन्होंने solution में दी है. This should have been given in the question. So if you assume it's a AFS, then yes, it's a OCI. If you assume this is not AFS, then this will go to the income statement. Okay, the rest was foreign currency, which was perfectly correct by you. Uh, so let's see again. This is a single statement approach. So what they have done, they have calculated net income first, and net income के बाद उन्होंने तुरंत OCI दिखाया है. So this is called a statement of comprehensive income. So if you see the header, statement of comprehensive income, जिसके दो पार्ट है, net income plus OCI. अगर आप स्टेटमेंट्स को अलग अलग करते हो, so first statement is a statement of sorry, the first statement comes statement of your income, which is the income statement, जहां पर आप एंड करते हो नेट इनकम पे. उसके बाद आप दूसरा स्टेटमेंट बनाते हो, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ अदर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इनकम, जिसकी शुरुआत होती है नेट इनकम से, एंड देन यू पुट ऑल दिस फोर आइटम्स व्हिच आर अनरियलाइज्ड गेन फॉर AFS, फॉरेन करेंसी आइटम्स, एंड देन इट कम्स टू योर टोटल कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इनकम. बात एक ही है, जस्ट टू डिफरेंट फॉर्मेट, वेदर यू वांट टू प्रिपेयर अ वन स्टेटमेंट और यू वांट टू प्रिपेयर अ मल्टीपल स्टेटमेंट्स.
if we have discontinued operations, then they will come before OCI.
Yes, they will even come before net income. So let's go back to the slide again. So you have an income from continuing operation plus discontinuing operation gives you net income. So this is the starting point for OCI after discontinuing operations.
Okay.
Chaliye, let's quickly solve few MCQs and then we will call it a day. Over to you. Question number 1.
B.
Chaliye, question number 2. Yes, sir. Question number 2.
C.
Pakka,
C.
any doubts?
Gains में आएगा other revenues.
Other revenues में भी आप दिखा सकते हो, but it has to be a net number. If you see what we saw as a concept, that when you have a gains, you book it as a net. So proceed minus book value. So net profit or a net loss you report. So the question says आप दिखा होगा कैसे, तो तब सबसे पहले तो आपको अमाउंट डिसाइड करना है. Sales 50,000 minus cost 35. So profit is 15,000. So the correct answer is 15,000. So you have a two options, C and D. So
But
this is
if it's in other revenues, wouldn't it be gross?
sorry, where is FX?
If it's other revenues and not gains.
Other revenues and gains are always your non-operating items. So if you have an operating revenue, it will be named as a income from operations or operating income. This is not your day-to-day life. So it is always called other revenues and other gains. So these are non-recurring in nature.
Okay.
Let's come to question 3.
B.
चलिए, question 4.
Uh, B.
Sure, confused?
Uh, 0.5 gain.
0.05. 1.25 minus 1.20. So 0.05 is a gain into 2 lakh foreign currency, that comes to $10,000.
Yes.
Confused nahi hona, why it is not loss?
Because foreign currency increased.
And you are on a sell side, you are going to receive this money. If in the question they said ki you have purchased the goods, then it will be a FX loss of 10,000. Clear hai bhai? Concept clear hai na?
Yes.
पक्का कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं लग रहे हो?
क्योंकि मैंने इसके एमसीक्यूज पहले गलत किए हैं. I get confused on the increase and decrease.
See, आपको जब भी फॉरेक्स फॉरेन करेंसी आता है, just prepare a one table. So let's just see what is, just put like this: foreign currency, what is the exchange rate, and then let's put the home currency or the amount you are going to receive. Now, what question says that you have sell something, that means you have a receivable. 200,000 of foreign currency you are selling, your spot rate is 1.20. So you are supposed to receive 2,40,000. Now, when you see an exchange rate increase to 1.25, so same amount 1.25. Now you are going to get 2,50,000 as a home currency. So this is basically you are getting more amount. So it's a gain because you have sold the things. Think from the purchase side. You had to pay 240. Now you will be paying 250. So it's a loss. So just put this format. Just write down your selling, purchasing, and what is your transactions. Your answers will never get wrong.
I have a minute or a minute and a half per MCQ.
You have enough time. I think exams are sufficiently. It's a 4.5 hour exam. You have a sufficient time. Don't worry about that. Don't think minute and a half, 2 minutes. Take your own time. Be confident, and things will be okay. You will do a lot of exam writing, so timing will not be a problem. So the last MCQ.
B.
Perfect. The next.
Uh,
हाँ जी.
आपके प्लान पे ईपीएस बाद में नहीं था?
Yes, but I have changed the plan, right? So now we are going based on backers. So we are going like this now. Earlier, I had my own plan, which had a
नहीं,
EPS around.
so that's what I said. कि you can follow whatever module you want to do first because you know that better what I need to learn first. But as
सब
long as you link it,
that's all okay यार. आज करे कल करे करना तो है ही ना. So there is no choice. We don't have a choice. We have to do everything.
क्योंकि like some modules require some other knowledge और फिर वो other modules में होती है तो फिर वो problem.
टेंशन ना लो भाई, मेरे पे छोड़ दो, ठीक है.
Okay.
Slide number 7 is your homework. I'll send the slide to you. You have to prepare income statement for a multi-step approach. There is a discontinuing operation given as well, and then there are certain other informations too. So this slide take it as homework. कोई भी doubt है तो हम लोग इसको कल resolve करेंगे. So for you now, 3 tasks for you have to complete today. The task number 1, go through the backer again for the entire chapter. कोई भी डाउट हो कल मुझे पूछ लेना. सेकंड, एमसीक्यूज बैकर के आपके पास जो भी सिस्टम है. थर्ड, सिमुलेशंस अगर दिए है तो सिमुलेशंस कर लेना. एनी डाउट वी विल स्टार्ट our session with the doubts. If not, then we will move to a next chapter. और एक दो क्वेश्चंस मुझे और है जो आपसे पूछने हैं। नंबर वन, आप कौन से टाइम जोन में हो? इज इट ईएसटी और अ पीएसटी?
EST.
विच लोकेशन यू आर इन?
Virginia. EST.
Okay, so currently it's midnight 11. Okay, so
Yes.
we almost have a good time difference. Okay, let me plan the time accordingly. And second, आपका evaluation हो चुका है, which state board you have registered for?
Virginia.
ठीक है। And what qualifications, आपकी credits कैसे calculate हुई है?
150. Bachelor's, master's.
चलिए ठीक है। I think so we are sorted with that, right? हमें वहाँ पर कोई question नहीं है।
Yeah. I have to apply for my NTS. NTS portal. I have to first pay for the exam fees. I still haven't paid that.
एनटीएस अप्लाई कर दिया है आपने ऑलरेडी?
नहीं, so exam fees. I'll pay the exam fees for NTS आएगा.
एनटीएस पहले आएगा, एग्जाम फी उसके बाद आपको देगी।
I पता नहीं वो पोर्टल मुझसे नासबा का फार की फीस मांग रहा है पहले.
डाउट, बिकॉज आपका जो शेड्यूल है उसके हिसाब से आपको, लेट मी शेयर माय स्क्रीन, आपको हमेशा पहले एनटीएस आएगा। एनटीएस के 6 महीने के अंदर आप एग्जाम ले सकते हो। सो देयर इज नो वे दे शुड आस्क यू एग्जाम फी एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम।
अह, वो आई थिंक किसी ने मुझे कहा था कि अगर मैं अभी पे कर दूँ तो NTS आ जाएगा और मुझे फिर फौरन से स्केड्यूल करना होगा, तो फिर मैंने उस चक्कर में पे भी नहीं किया क्योंकि फिर वो बिला वजह भी पे करके जब तक कंफर्म नहीं.
आप एनटीएस, आई थिंक आई नीड टू रीसेट माय पासवर्ड, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर नाउ। बट आपका हमेशा है ना एनटीएस पहले आएगा।
आई
जस्ट
कैन शेयर.
सी, जैसे कि ये मेरा एग्जाम है जो मैंने मार्च में दिया था। सो यू आर ऑलवेज गोइंग टू हैव एनटीएस। अब जब एनटीएस करोगे तो आपका नासबा का मेल आएगा whether you are eligible to give exam or not. So if you see, this is my NTS available at this portal, and once this NTS is done, then I have to use this particular NTS to book my exams. तो आपको हमेशा पहले एनटीएस करना है। एग्जाम तो आप 6 महीने के बाद भी बुक कर सकते हो। यू डोंट नीड टू वरी राइट नाउ।
मैं अपनी स्क्रीन शेयर करके दिखा देता हूँ. तो आई थिंक वो
स्टेटस,
सीधा पेमेंट मांगता है.
पे फॉर पेमेंट, एग्जाम स्टेटस न्यू। आपका तो एनटीएस इश्यू हुई, तो ये आपको एनटीएस का फी मांग रहा है। सो आपकी फीस दो तरीके से जाएगी। जैसे कि आई वॉज फ्रॉम इंडिया, सो आई यूज टू पे I think $300 for NTS, $300 for international exam fee, and total $600. आप शायद यूएस में हो तो आई थिंक आपके लिए सेकंड स्टेप नहीं होगा। दे आर स्ट्रेट अवे, यस दे आर स्ट्रेट अवे, आपको इंटरनेशनल फी एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगी बिकॉज यू आर इन यूएस। सो योर एनटीएस इज इक्वल टू योर एग्जाम फी, आपको सेकंड स्टेप नहीं है पेमेंट में। सो दिस इज फाइन, यू कैन पे दी एनटीएस, बट इससे आपकी एग्जाम ऑटो बुक नहीं होगी। आपको एग्जाम बुक करने के लिए एक और स्टेप करना पड़ेगा, बट आपसे वो
वो
पेमेंट,
NTS नहीं होता जो बुक करना होता है.
दैट इज शेड्यूलिंग द एग्जाम। एनटीएस मतलब आपने उनको एक नोटिफिकेशन दिया है कि यू वांट टू गिव द एग्जाम इन 6 मंथ, तो वो आपको एक एलिजिबिलिटी लेटर देंगे। बेस्ड ऑन दैट लेटर यू हैव टू बुक द ऑनलाइन एग्जाम फ्रॉम द गिवन पोर्टल्स।
ओके, वो स्टेट बोर्ड ने फिर एलिजिबिलिटी डिसाइड की थी.
हाँ, नासपा इज द इंटरमीडियरी, तो स्टेट बोर्ड ही
हम्म.
आपका लाइसेंस वगैरह भी वही इशू करेंगे। लेकिन एग्जाम वगैरह जो भी ऑपरेशनल थिंग्स है दैट इज डन बाय योर नेस्पा ओनली।
ओके.
चलिए ठीक है, सो विल कॉल इट अ डे। आप जो भी टास्क है वो कंप्लीट कीजिए, कल हम मिलते हैं। आई गिव यू फ्यू स्लॉट्स ओवर नेक्स्ट फ्यू आवर्स, एंड आई थिंक ऑल गुड। मैं आपको रिकॉर्डिंग भेजता हूँ विद इन 1 आवर जैसे ही अवेलेबल होती है।
ओके, थैंक यू. बाय.
ऑल राइट, थैंक यू जी, बाय।